I used to avoid mirrors and bright light. Not dim light, bright light, the kind that shows everything. If that sounds familiar, you already know why we're here. Today I'm walking you through 5 haircuts that genuinely take years off a woman's face after 50. Not trendy cuts, not brave cuts, but the specific shapes that soften what time changes and bring the light back to your eyes. Every one of these has a name you can say out loud to your stylist, word for word, so there's no guessing and no disappointment in the chair. I researched the best haircuts and styling fixes for women over 50, so you get real results, fast, no trial and error. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every week, and today's list might be the one that changes your next appointment completely. Part 1. The long layered bob that softens every angle. Here's something most women don't know. The haircut that ages you fastest after 50 isn't short hair. It's long, blunt, one-length hair with no movement near the face. That flat wall of hair pulls everything downward. Your cheeks, your jawline, the corners of your mouth. And it's doing that every single day without you realizing it's the haircut, not your face. Colette came into her stylist's chair last spring convinced her face had just changed. She was ready to blame gravity, blame stress, blame everything except the mirror straight ends she'd been keeping since her 30s. The fix is the long layered bob. Specifically, a bob that hits between the collarbone and the chin, with face framing layers that start at the cheekbone. Here's exactly what to tell your stylist. I want a layered bob, shoulder to chin length, with the shortest layer landing right at my cheekbone. That phrasing matters. Say graduated layers, if you want extra lift at the crown. The reason this works isn't mysterious, it's physics. Layers that start at the cheekbone catch the light and curve inward, which visually lifts the lower half of your face instead of dragging it down. Blunt, weighty hair does the opposite. It acts like a frame pulling everything toward the floor. Colette's stylist did exactly this. Cut the blunt ends into a chin-length bob with layers starting right at her cheekbones, and left just enough length at the back to keep the shape soft instead of severe. The result wasn't subtle. Her jawline, which she'd been convinced was sagging, suddenly had definition again. Not because anything about her face had changed, but because the hair around it stopped weighing it down. That's the part nobody tells you. Half of what we call an aging face is actually just an aging haircut sitting on a perfectly fine jawline. The snapback moment came 2 weeks later, when Colette ran into a former coworker at the pharmacy who did a visible double take and asked if she'd done something. Not able to name what, just certain something had shifted. That's the tell of a genuinely good haircut. People notice the effect before they notice the haircut itself. They read you as more awake, more present, more finished, and they credit it to everything except the actual cut, because it looks that natural. If your hair currently sits past your shoulders in one flat length with no layering near your face, that's your sign. The swap is simple to name and simple to ask for. Before, one length hair past the shoulders with no face framing layers. After, a chin to collarbone layered bob with the first layer starting at the cheekbone. Write those exact words down before your next appointment, because a stylist who hears, just cut it shorter, and a stylist who hears layered bob, cheekbone start layers, will hand you 2 completely different results. Now here's the thing about layers. They only work if the length is right for your bone structure. And getting that wrong is its own kind of mistake. That's exactly where we're headed next. Because the second haircut on this list fixes a problem almost the opposite of Colette's, and it might be the one closest to what's actually in your mirror right now. Part 2. The curtain fringe that opens up tired eyes. Nobody warns you about this one, and it's the haircut mistake I see most often on women who are otherwise doing everything right with their color and their cut length. It's not about the hair at all, it's about what's happening at the eyebrows. As we get older, the outer brow naturally drops a little, and heavy straight across bangs sitting low on the forehead make that drop look far more pronounced than it actually is. It reads as tired even on a woman who slept 9 hours the night before. Marguerite told her stylist she just wanted her bangs tidied up. She had no idea the bangs themselves were the actual issue. The fix is a curtain fringe, soft, side-parted pieces that sweep outward past the temples instead of sitting flat across the brow. Tell your stylist exactly this. I want a curtain fringe, parted at the center, with the pieces swept back to skim my temples, not blunt across my forehead. The mechanism here is about negative space. A straight fringe blocks the outer brow and shortens the visible forehead, which compresses the whole upper face. A curtain fringe does the opposite. It opens a soft V shape around the eyes, and that open space is what reads as bright and alert rather than shadowed and low. Marguerite's stylist cut the fringe on an angle, longest at the center part and shortest just past the outer corner of each eye, then blew it back and away from the forehead rather than forward and down. The transformation happened in the mirror in real time. Marguerite actually laughed out loud when she saw it, because she genuinely looked like she'd slept better, and she hadn't changed a single other thing about her routine that week. That's the part that gets people. This fix costs nothing extra, takes 15 minutes in the chair, and the younger read comes entirely from brow visibility, not from any product or treatment. Here's the snapback most women don't expect. It's not just that Marguerite looked more awake, it's that people started making more eye contact with her. When your brow line is visible and open, people's gaze goes straight to your eyes instead of sliding past them. And that shift in how people look at you is what actually reads as younger, far more than any single feature on its own. Her daughter asked, completely seriously, whether she'd started using a new eye cream. She hadn't touched her skincare routine at all. The swap to remember. Before, straight across bangs sitting low and flat on the forehead. After, a side-swept curtain fringe skimming the temples with the outer brow left visible. If your current fringe sits in a hard line across your forehead, this is worth bringing up at your very next cut. Not your next color appointment, not someday. Your next actual cut, because growing this out halfway looks worse before it looks better. There's a third mistake that's even sneakier than the first two, because it hides inside a haircut that actually sounds age-appropriate on paper. It's the one most stylists recommend by default, and it's not always the right call. Part 3. Why the safe short crop can backfire. Stylists love to recommend a short, cropped pixie the moment a woman turns 60, as if there's an unwritten rule that long hair simply expires at a certain birthday. But a pixie crop too close to the head, with no height built into the crown, can actually do the opposite of what it promises. It can expose more of the face than a woman is ready to show, and it removes the one thing hair is supposed to do for an older face: create soft shape around it. Diane went in asking for something easy and short, and came out of the chair feeling, in her own words, exposed. The fix isn't abandoning short hair, it's asking for a textured pixie with volume built at the crown instead of a cropped one. Say this to your stylist. I want a pixie with length left on top, textured with a razor or point cutting for movement, and I want height at the crown, not a flat top. The difference is in the vertical lift. A flat crown pixie sits close to the skull and shortens the whole face visually from above. A crown lifted, textured pixie adds height where the eye naturally travels upward, which elongates the face gently and softens the jawline by drawing attention up and away from it, rather than framing it tightly like a cropped cap does. Diane's second attempt, 3 months later with a different stylist, was a completely different experience. This time the sides stayed short but the top was left longer and point cut for texture, then styled up and slightly forward at the crown for lift. She described it as the first haircut in years that felt like her choice rather than a compromise. The volume at the top did something specific. It balanced her face shape instead of narrowing it, and it gave her something to actually style each morning, which made the cut feel intentional rather than like she'd simply given up on length. The snapback for Diane happened at a family dinner, when her son-in-law told her the new cut made her look like she was up to something. His way of saying she looked sharper, more mischievous, more alive. That's exactly the read a well-built pixie should get you. Not brave, not practical, but genuinely striking. The old, flat-crown version had read as safe and a little tired. The textured, lifted version read as a deliberate style choice, which is a completely different impression to walk into a room with. The swap here. Before, a tightly cropped pixie with a flat, close crown and no texture. After, a textured pixie with visible height at the crown and movement through the top. If your stylist suggests just going short, without ever mentioning crown height or texture, that's worth pausing on. A shortcut done without lift is the version that ages a face, not short hair itself. I want to tell you about the haircut that surprised me most in my research, because it's almost never mentioned in these lists, and it might be the single easiest change on this entire list to ask for. Part 4. The shoulder grazing shag almost nobody recommends. Most youthful haircut lists skip this one entirely, and I think that's a mistake, because the shag is one of the only cuts built specifically around movement rather than shape. Most haircuts we're told to get after 50 are about controlling hair, smoothing it, containing it, keeping it neat. The shag does the opposite, and that's exactly why it works. Rosalind had spent 3 decades in the same smooth, controlled shoulder-length cut, convinced that neat was the only acceptable version of professional. She wasn't wrong that it looked put together. She was wrong that it looked youthful. The fix is a shoulder-grazing shag with heavy layering throughout and a soft, textured fringe woven into the front. Tell your stylist precisely this. I want a shag cut, shoulder length, with layers cut throughout for movement, and I want the ends textured, not blunt. The reason this reads as younger has nothing to do with length and everything to do with motion. Smooth, controlled hair sits still, and stillness on an older face can read as heaviness. Layered, textured hair moves when you turn your head, catches light differently from every angle, and that constant subtle motion is something the eye associates, almost instinctively, with vitality. Rosalind's stylist cut heavy layers starting just below the ear, textured the ends with a razor so nothing sat blunt, and added soft, piecewise fringe that blended into the front layers rather than standing apart as its own section. The first time she shook her hair out after a wash at home, she said it was the first time in years her hair had actually done something on its own instead of needing to be forced into place. That's a small thing to say out loud, but it's a real marker of a cut working with your hair's natural behavior instead of fighting it every morning. The snapback moment for Rosalind came at her granddaughter's soccer game, of all places, when another parent asked which salon she went to because the cut looked effortlessly cool. A phrase Rosalind admitted she hadn't heard applied to herself in at least 15 years. What changed wasn't her face, her age, or her skin. It was that her hair finally looked alive instead of arranged, and that single shift moved the whole impression from well-maintained to genuinely stylish, which are 2 very different compliments to receive. The swap. Before, smooth, uniformly controlled shoulder-length hair with no layering. After, a shoulder-grazing shag with heavy internal layers and a soft textured fringe. If your current cut takes real effort every single morning just to lie flat and behave, that effort is a clue. Hair that has to be forced into stillness usually isn't the cut that's working hardest for your face. There's one haircut left, and it's the one I'd call the quiet favorite among stylists who specialize in mature clients, because it solves a problem most women assume they just have to live with. Part 5. The face framing lob that fixes disappearing cheekbones. Here's the last one, and it might be the most requested fix once women actually see it done. As we age, cheekbones can seem to lose their definition. Not because bone structure changes dramatically, but because surrounding volume shifts and softens the contour that used to catch light. Most women respond to this by adding blush higher and higher, chasing definition with makeup that a haircut could actually restore. Rosalind's neighbor, and coincidentally also a woman named Colette from her book club, no relation to Part 1's Colette, just a popular name in this crowd, kept adding more contour every year and wondering why it looked heavier instead of sharper. The fix is a face framing lob, a long bob that hits just below the collarbone, cut with the shortest layer angled directly at the cheekbone and left slightly forward rather than tucked back. Tell your stylist this exact phrasing. I want a lob collarbone length, with a face framing layer angled forward at my cheekbone, left long enough to graze the jaw. The mechanism is simple once you see it. A piece of hair angled forward at cheekbone height creates a soft shadow line right along the contour that's lost definition, doing with hair what contour makeup tries and often fails to do evenly. This Colette stylist cut the lob with the front pieces angled sharply forward, ending right at the point of the cheekbone, and left the rest of the length soft and slightly wavy to keep the whole shape from looking severe. The very first time she styled it at home, she reached for her contour stick out of habit, looked in the mirror, and put it back down. The shadow the haircut created did the same visual work her makeup used to, except it moved naturally with her face instead of sitting flat on top of it. The snapback came during a video call with her sister, who paused mid-sentence and asked if she'd lost weight in her face. She hadn't, not an ounce, but the new shadow line the haircut created along her cheekbone did exactly what weight loss does visually. It restored a contour that had softened over time. That's the quiet power of this cut. It doesn't change anything about your body or your skin. It just gives your face structure back the tool it lost. The swap to remember: before, hair pulled back or cut with no forward movement near the cheekbones, relying on makeup for contour. After, a collarbone length lob with a face framing layer angled forward at the cheekbone. Of all 5 cuts on this list, this is the one I'd bring up first if your stylist tends to default to routine trims without asking what you actually want from the shape. 5 cuts, 5 exact phrases to bring into your next appointment, and every single one of them costs nothing beyond the haircut you were already planning to get. You now know 5 haircuts that genuinely soften and lift an older face: the layered bob, the curtain fringe, the lifted textured pixie, the shag, and the face framing lob. And more importantly, you know the exact words to say in the chair so you actually get what you're asking for instead of hoping your stylist reads your mind. That's not a small thing. That's the difference between walking out disappointed and walking out like Colette, or Diane, or Rosalind did. Which of these 5 surprised you the most, and which one are you bringing to your next appointment? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. Next week, I'm covering the color mistakes that fight against everything a good haircut is trying to do, so you'll want to catch that one too. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.